A couple of months ago, TVS unveiled its all-new X electric scooter at a grand event at the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. And with good reason. This is the long-awaited Creon concept finally coming to life, and it now also becomes TVS's flagship electric offering. In fact, at this asking price, it's the company's most expensive product after the 310cc models. We've been getting a rather brief but quite eventful first taste of the X at TVS's Hosur test track, and here are our findings. At its heart sits an 11 kilowatt permanent magnet motor, which TVS says is good enough for 105 kph top speed and 0 to 40 in 2.6 seconds. And these numbers place it among the most powerful, quickest electric scooters in the country, right up there with the likes of the Ola S1 Pro. And here's how all of this translates into the real world. Acceleration from a standstill in the quickest sonic mode feels quite strong, but it doesn't punch off the line quite as hard as an Ather 450X in warp mode. Nevertheless, it pulls well up to about 80 kph, but beyond this point, performance trails off, and it takes a while to eventually climb to a top speed of a little over 100 kph. But more than the performance itself, the big talking point here is how it's delivered. On the upside, accelerator response and feel are very natural, and there's no recalibration required on your part. But on the downside, there were multiple instances on different scooters where the motor simply cut out while riding and then needed to be manually restarted by pressing the brake and the starter button simultaneously. TVS says that this is likely down to the scooters going through a vigorous cycle of being ridden hard and then fast charged back up again over the course of our media test rides. However, it's imperative that the company sorts this problem out, and TVS says that it will. On the range front, the X gets a 4.4 kWh battery pack, of which 3.8 kWh is usable. This is on the larger side, but nothing that we haven't seen before. And so it's a similar story with the range as well, which is a claimed IDC figure of 140 kilometers, which should translate into about 100 kilometers in the real world. And we look forward to verifying that when we get some more time with the scooter in the real world. TVS is also offering two charging options, a portable 950 watt charger as well as a 3 kilowatt fast charger that you can have installed at your residence. 0 to 80% charging times for the two are 4.5 hours and 1 hour 20 minutes respectively. In the powertrain department, the X isn't breaking too much new ground, but one area where it's a big departure from anything else currently on the market is the chassis package. Most interestingly, it's held together by a sport bike style twin spar perimeter frame, constructed from aluminium no less. The subframe is also a cast aluminium unit, and you've got a neat single-sided swing arm at the rear. And on the move, the chassis package is one of the highlights of this scooter. Our first impression is that this feels like a sharp and taut handling package. It's very responsive to rider inputs. In fact, less experienced riders might even find the steering to be a little too light. But once you get used to it, you appreciate the agility and the sharpness offered by the nice stiff chassis. The suspension also seems well measured, and it handled mid-corner bumps on track quite nicely, but we'll have to wait and see how it fares out on the roads. The first impression is that it seems to be a little on the firmer side, but it shouldn't be too uncomfortable. What will make you uncomfortable though are the brakes, which are quite sharp. At the front, this is still manageable because you have ABS, but the rear disc is too sharp and requires very little effort to lock up. TVS says that this will be retuned before deliveries begin. Perhaps one of the biggest headline grabbers on the X is this massive 10.25-inch TFT touchscreen you see here. It packs in more functions and features than we've ever seen on a scooter in India before. And to be honest, there's enough here to warrant a video of its own. But given the very limited time we've had with this scooter today, here's a quick rundown of all its neat tricks and features. You're greeted by a home screen that features customizable widgets, with everything ranging from cricket scores and the weather to music playback and range and charging information. Then there are various screens that allow you to do things as wacky as playing games and watching Instagram reels and YouTube videos. Thankfully, these things can only be done when at a standstill, but even then, I'm not sure these features belong on a scooter. Among the more useful features is the onboard navigation, which does neat things like show you the weather all along your route and tell you whether you have enough charge to get to your destination. Like the Ola, you can stream music and audio to the scooter's onboard speaker, and also like the Ola, there's no key fob here. So you unlock the scooter using a numerical pin, or your paired smartphone or your smartwatch. TVS will also be offering an NFC card to owners with which they can unlock their scooters. Other more conventional features include hill hold, cruise control, cornering lamps, geofencing, and location sharing. There is undoubtedly an enormous amount of functionality packed into the display, including the fact that you can adjust the tilt angle of the entire screen itself. But there is room for improvement in making this a more slick experience, especially considering the price point. Touch responses could be quicker and more fluid, and many of the buttons were also slow and inconsistent in their response. That said, the actual quality levels across the scooter are excellent, and in terms of touch and feel, the X really feels its price. Right from the very neat design with the stylish slit-like headlight and the wonderfully contoured tail section to the blue anodized highlights all across, this looks and feels like a special machine, and it retains a very pleasing amount from the pretty wild Creon concept. Other nice touches include the mirror stalks, the neat pillion foot pegs that tuck away very nicely, and the beefy adjustable levers. At the end of the day, the biggest talking point here is the price. At 2.5 lakh rupees ex showroom, the X is considerably more expensive than anything else offering this sort of performance and range. And since it doesn't qualify for the FAME 2 subsidy because of its price, the charger isn't bundled in either, and that'll be another 16,250 rupees for the portable charger. A simple comparison of range and performance parameters with other premium e-scooters makes the TVS X quite hard to digest. But when you get up close to it and break it down to the sum of its very premium parts, you understand it a little better. How well the X sells in India will be a fascinating insight into what the new generation of young premium buyers values and how much they're willing to pay for it. Before that though, TVS has some bug fixing to do.